All right, everyone, welcome back in. It's time to Bleav in Vikings and Bleav in Eagles. We have a super show today as yours truly, Wobby, welcomes in Leigh Mayock, the host of Bleav in Eagles. And we're going to talk Vikings and Eagles, life in the NFL, Vikings days gone by, Leigh's dad, Mike Mayock, who used to call games for the Vikings in the preseason. We got lots to catch up with Leon. So we're going to do that in a minute. But first, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here. Hello, Leigh. How are you?
Wobby, that was so good. You're so
Thanks.
good at those. And it
Yeah,
really
right.
took me, it just took me right back. It's been like 10 years, but I feel like it's been zero.
I know. And when I saw that you were doing Bleav in Eagles, I was like, that's the best. And I listened and I see some of your like TikTok clips and they're hilarious. And you're doing them with your dad. And then talking to you before we started recording, I find out that he's your regular. So I
He's
love
my
that the
regular
most.
guest. Yeah,
Yes, that's
he
awesome.
begged me to be the regular. I said,
Yeah.
I guess we can do it. We'll see how you do on the clicks and the views.
He
So far.
begged you to be the regular. Okay. Yeah, right. Right. I got to tell you though, the vibe is exactly how I would expect it to be between you and your dad. Like it's
Well, and
very
I
good.
appreciate you saying that, especially because you know the vibe between my dad and I. So you know it's
Yes.
so real.
Mm.
My friends say the same thing, but you especially had such a niche insight to my dad and I because you knew him first
Yep.
from calling the Vikings preseason games.
Yep.
And then I frolic in there a couple
Uh,
seasons later as an intern right out of
mhm.
college. And then, I mean, you kind of saw us together and it's just complete opposites, but with like a little bit of interest in sports combined.
Oh,
And I'm hoping it hits how it should, but we're having a ton of fun doing it. So.
that's good. That's good. And it looks like you're having a ton of fun as well. And so keep it up, keep the vibe going. I love that. And these shows are fun because we get to dive into these our two teams and talk about it daily or multiple times a week. And so anyway, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. I'm really excited to do this show. Yeah, to do this show with you today.
I know
Um,
the season's vet. I can't believe you. I mean, I'm honored to be here with you.
oh,
Truly,
it's the best. So
truly.
I wish it was a regular season game for the
I
Vikings and the
know.
Eagles because there'd be like better topics to get into. And a
Oh,
lot
you
of
mean like
people.
if people were playing?
Yeah, like if the
Yeah.
real players were playing and if we were going to Philly to watch it, then we
I
would
know, that'd be
we would
so
come
much
and meet
better.
up and do
Yes.
something, right? Yeah. So that's not happening. It's the preseason, but you remember what it's like when you were with the Vikings. A
Correct.
lot of people write off the end of the preseason because they're just tired of it. They're over it. They want to get to the real games, right? You've
Right.
listened for a month to training camp practice reports and all of this, and you just want to get to the real games. But when you're in the building, which you have been, and so have I,
Mhm.
like guys are definitely fighting for jobs, and like not to be over dramatic, but like for some of them, it's their professional lives. Like if they don't win a job here, they got to go get another job somewhere else.
No, I always have to remind myself that too, now that I'm not ingrained in it as much. I felt it again when my dad was with the Raiders because I saw these people and I cared about these people.
Yep.
It's just the end of preseason, and it used to be like the fourth game. Now it's the third.
Yeah.
Um, like you said, they're kind of fighting for their lives, their professional lives, and football has been their whole life. Has been their lives their whole life to
Hmm.
this point, and it just feels like the biggest make or break it. And you can't help but root for people. You can't help but get just so fully invested in these people. And I get a little bit upset when people kind of cast off these games off, because I get it. We're over it. We want to see the real offense. We want to get going. But I'm like, these are people.
Mm-hmm.
And they need every snap they can get. Like, I wish they had a whole nother game. I still do.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. It does really matter. And so if people are paying attention, these guys, this is their livelihood. They have families, they have lives,
Yep.
they're doing their best. And I'm rooting for all of them, and and also just no injuries. That's what gets me during these times. I'm like, that is a sore topic for Vikings fans right now. I
With
just
JJ?
cannot get over that. What a blow.
Well, you've been here, Leigh. You know how I think there are a lot of fan bases who think they're cursed, right?
100%.
But Vikings fans are legitimate in thinking that. If you just look at the history of, NFC championship game performances and Teddy Bridgewater and just so many unbelievably unlucky things. And how about taking a quarterback 10th overall and literally 3 hours into him playing in the NFL in games, he's out for the whole year? You can't even make that up.
No, what was that like in Minnesota?
Oh, people were super down, and
so was the flag at half staff?
No, there was. I saw one of the I wish I could remember who it was. One of the Vikings beat writers was like coming into practice or something, or driving in, and took a picture of a Vikings flag at half mast in someone's front yard. No, it really happened. No, someone did that. So the one difference here is, I truly think Sam Darnold was going to be the starter this season. I think that was going to happen.
Did you think that was going to happen immediately?
No, that's what I mean. I think he was going to start as the starter, and I think McCarthy was going to eventually take over. So it's not like, it's not like for Houston, CJ Stroud getting hurt in the first preseason game last year. But it's like diet CJ Stroud getting hurt, right? Because I think eventually it was going to be him. So it's a super big bummer. And I don't think there's a silver lining, because I heard a lot of people are like, well, now he can just really focus on the mental part of playing the position. I'm like, well, he was already going to do that.
No, he doesn't need that extra time for that.
Right. He was already doing that.
That's their job anyway. They already know what he wasn't someone anyway that needed that extra time for the mental part of it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they're trying to find a silver lining, but I also don't see it.
It's a net loss. Missing the physical part of being at practice and all that, it's just a bummer. But as well as anyone, it's the NFL, so you just keep going. The rest of the team, you got to just keep going. So anyway,
and I would say though, maybe silver lining is that there's no question about it. Like, you're not going to have him.
Yeah.
So you have to game plan now differently, and then just look to the future instead of it being like, what's it going to be?
Maybe. So you mentioned something.
Maybe.
Well, I like, again, I'm with you. I like thinking about something positive about it. But you're right. Sam Darnold not looking over his shoulder is good. That is good for him.
Like, lock in and game plan with him only.
Yep, that is good for him.
Such a blow.
So you said something about the preseason games going from 4 to 3. And I'm thinking about how long you've been around the league. And so I think you and I will have a similar perspective here. There's some changes that are happening that are hard and weird for me. From 4 preseason games to 3 is weird to me.
Right.
The new kickoff rule looks strange.
I hate it.
And 17 games is a weird number of games to have in a season. Like, I think it should be 16 or 18.
100%.
Yeah.
What? Like, weird. What are we doing with 17? 17
I don't know.
3? I don't understand. I'm with you. And it's so crazy too, because we haven't, because of the way people are playing their guys in preseason, we have no idea really what the new kickoff rule even looks like.
Right. So I guess I like it because it keeps the kickoff return in the game. So I like that.
Okay.
And when the returner catches the kick, it looks like all the players are where they normally were on the regular kickoff. It just looks weird right before the kick.
You're like,
because
what is
they're
this
like,
formation? What is happening?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so strange. So they're trying to reduce the collisions
Right. But
by
I think I like that part.
yeah, well, I know that's part. It was. Can you imagine a game starting without a kickoff, where it's just
No,
like, "Hey,
no,
everyone, welcome to the game. The
no,
Eagles are at the
you're right.
25."
No, you're right. It is. Thank God it still they exist because
Yeah,
that would just be like, I
yeah.
mean, are we transitioning to flag football anyway? I mean,
I hope
that's
not. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm glad they kept the kickoff in the game. Now I think they're on their way to 2 preseason games. I just think they didn't want to go from 4 to 2. So I think 3 is an intermediary. I think they're going to go to 2.
Do you think that will result in more joint team
Yes.
practices?
Don't
And
you?
so if that's the case, which I kind of do, I like it. I'm about it. I love that. My dad and I actually talked about it I think last week on the pod that
Hmm.
he personally thinks that there's only upside in those unless it gets too chippy. I mean, and obviously that can happen anywhere, but the amount of your quarterback's in a bubble and the amount of things that you can do with him and the things that you can learn and the real reps that you get against teams it's just invaluable
I agree.
versus a preseason game where who knows who you're up against. You can't, it's risk for injury. It's not the same. So if it is joint team practices, I'll be interested in that. I like that.
I do too. I think sort of a different way of saying what you were saying is, don't you feel like coaches feel that they have more control over the tempo in a joint practice as opposed to a game? And
Yes.
you can like assure yourself that it's the second string versus the second string.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's exactly how it came. Off camera, I was asking my dad, I was like, with this 3 preseason game thing, I was like, are coaches playing against each other going to be a little bit more in cahoots in terms of their game planning against each other? Are they going to be like, hey, we'll do this the like first quarter, whatever? And he was like, I haven't seen it. I don't think so. I was like, not even a gentleman's agreement, and he is, no, that's what you do with the joint practices.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so that
Yep.
completely makes more sense. And I just don't understand why they wouldn't do that though. And that's what I was saying to him. Why wouldn't these coaches talk before their preseason games and decide on something?
They should. I mean, they
And
literally.
my dad said, he was like, they do if they have a relationship and respect for one another. And I was like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Can't they just decide to have a conversation before I don't know why it's weird.
Well, they literally are standing 10 yards apart from each other during pregame warm-ups.
Like, why hasn't this been a thing the whole time?
Right.
Like,
Also,
do you remember when it used to be 4 and it was like generally agreed upon that the third preseason game is when you'd play your starters?
that's showtime. Yes, for sure.
Yes. So there was at least some semblance of an understanding.
And that is gone now with 3 because
I know.
Like the Vikings, what game was it? It might have been there was a game, either the Browns or the Raiders. I think it was the Browns game last week where the Vikings played like nobody, like none of the starters.
Didn't they joint practice with the Browns?
They
did.
did.
They make that up? Okay.
They did do that. Yep.
Okay.
And our guy Kevin Stefanski with the Browns,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So,
yep, our guy.
Which isn't that crazy? So when you were there, what was Kevin? Do you remember what his role was on the staff?
When I was there, no, I don't, because it was Leslie Frazier.
Okay, so he was working his way as an offensive assistant by then.
Yeah. Okay.
He started as like Brad Childress's, honestly, like runner. I mean, he was like,
no way. He was like his PA.
He was laminating the play call sheets for practice. And
I believe that. I mean, that's a coach's son right there, though.
Yes, and he was, in like the computer on Microsoft Word, like, messing around, like asking for Excel formulas and stuff,
Oh my gosh. Just like sweating bullets.
Like, oh yeah. And like getting the bus schedule to Luther Hippie and operations and like, and now he's, the head coach of the Browns. It's just what an amazing path.
It's incredible. And side note with him, and you probably know this, he's from the same area as my family. Right. Yep. Yeah. So we've known the Stefanskis for such a long time. And he has always been that way. Just like head down, works hard, great, like good people person, like great leader without being like overstepping. He's just the best. Just when you see those guys and you know them for a long time, you just hope for the best for them and you can't help but root for them. And he's just killing it.
Yep, he is.
Yeah.
And the thing I like, so you've totally been through this as I have. So you
Mhm.
get people who you work with like that, and you're
Mhm.
sort of like you're a boots on the ground grinder type of role, and so are they. But then they move on to like a more prominent role, and then they leave your team or your
Mhm.
city to go to a different team. So you just lose touch with them naturally. And
Yep.
a lot of times, the only time you might see them or talk to them is when you play them and
Exactly.
you run into them on the sideline or the hotel or something like that. But then
Yeah.
there are some of them where you're close enough with them that you like shoot them a text every once in a while. And then it's always interesting. Are they going to respond or not? And some
Every time,
people,
I know.
and Kevin responds every time,
Every
and
time, every
yeah,
time. And I've had a lot of people say that,
yeah.
like, about him.
So
Yeah.
that tells me a lot about a
Mhm.
person, and because he doesn't need to do, he's busy. Like these guys are busy, and
I
and
swear to you, the busier the good guys are, they're the more likely ones to respond.
it's crazy. It just tells me a lot about them, and it makes me
Yeah.
root for them.
I
And so,
know. I know. Isn't that crazy though? Like how it just turns into rooting for when you're in an industry so long that's so competitive like that. It goes from, like, obviously you have a team that you work for, or that you're the city that you're from, but then you just find yourself rooting for people, and then
huh, yes,
they're down a million different rows, and I'm like, why do I care about the Broncos game today? I don't like them. And I'm like, oh, but I like these people. Like,
yeah,
I care
yeah,
about them. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. I mean, and that's a great one, right? For former Vikings. I mean, you got George
Oh,
Payton, Kelly
yep.
Klein, you would
Kelly
read,
Klein. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so anyway, it's just cool how it spreads out. But yes, they did joint practice with the Browns,
Hmm.
and so then you don't have to play your starters in these preseason games, right? Because you get them the work
Correct.
in the joint practices where you're controlling the tempo. So I do think they're going to 2 preseason games. I do think it'll result in more joint practices for sure. And then the other one I mentioned is 17 games instead of 16 or 18. They're totally going to play 18, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
they're going to squeeze every game that they can out of these
Yeah.
guys. And it
So
just, to me, it's just very hypocritical, because it's like it gets into the safety talk.
I know.
And how are we preaching safety in these avenues? But
So I know. Okay, so my ideas, and this is something for you and your dad to maybe talk about too, is I think there are little things that you can do if you're going to add an 18th game.
mhm,
I mean, taking away one of the preseason games,
right,
um, I think you increase roster sizes. You know how obviously
that'll be good.
like, so you go down to 53, but then on game day you have to like deactivate
Yes.
players.
Yep.
I think you can get rid of that and just have more players available. I think that's another
Well,
way to
kind
do
of
it.
like they did in COVID.
Yes, exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
No, and like, what's the harm in that? None. They're already on the
Yeah.
team.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
I just think there are little things they're going to have to do to mitigate the increased risk of injury. But
Risk.
but at the end of the day, you're right. It is hypocritical. We're all about player safety, but we're going to make them play another game. I mean, it's tough. And then how are you going to do the schedule? Because like you're getting into like the middle of February right now, and that's
Yeah.
great. I don't know. Do you start before Labor Day? Maybe.
And
I
not
don't know.
only that, though, we're also getting into all these overseas games.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
that travel too is like
Yeah,
a lot extra
yeah,
on the workload, on the logistics. Like, I don't. Are we
that's right.
going? Are we going to get into March?
I don't know. And then how long until they play a Super Bowl in London or Paris or something? Like that's going to happen, right?
I mean, 100%. They're
And
building that
that's
stuff up so big. And I mean, I think if the Jags had any say, they would host their Super Bowl
yeah,
in
there
in
in
London.
London.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've always wondered about them. You could have like the Jags. So let's say you have 8 games. Some years now you have 9 because there's a 17th game, which is weird. But
Just that
but
17 number
yeah,
again.
weird. But let's say you've got 8 home games. How about the Jags, like 4 in London and 4 in Jacksonville, and you have your practice facility in London that you build, but you
Mhm.
keep your practice facility in Jacksonville so that the Jags aren't flying back to London between road games. They're staying in Jacksonville. I could see something like that happening.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because the way that they've been scheduling out these Euro games
Yeah.
have been in a row. It's like what, like two
Yep.
weekends in a row in London, two in
Yep.
Germany. I think. I mean, we're going to Brazil in a couple weeks.
Crazy. Yeah.
But no, that would make more sense too, Wobbs, with just having a team have consecutive home games out there.
I think so too. So
wow, things are going to be a changing.
It'd be a fun part of the league to work in, but that whole international like situation, because I think there's a lot of money in it.
Yes.
And I think that like there's a blank slate there. Like, how do you guys want to do this? What are you imagining? And so often the innovative part of businesses, they're at a place that you don't even know they can be at. So they're thinking about things to do that we're not even talking about right now. Like we're talking about a Super Bowl in London and we think that's advanced. Like they've probably got plans that are way more advanced than that.
An amusement park, like who knows?
Yeah,
like
seriously,
who knows?
yes.
You're so right, especially because think about what a lot of those places have is like the American soccer. Like their like football teams are what they do, and those stadiums are a lot bigger than ours. The fans might be even crazier. So they're coming from a place knowing that with that type of fandom and that type of, I don't know. It just, like you said, we're probably thinking so small compared to what they have on their mind.
Definitely. Anyway, so changes, lots of changes. And then so what have you heard about the combine? Are they thinking about moving the combine?
I mean, yeah, I hear that every year. Don't you think we hear that every year? But it's been getting more and more real.
I don't think they should.
Wobby, this is something that I will stand 10 toes down on. Why change something that works so well? And man. I know you know this, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand that for the NFL Combine to work as it does, they don't just need a field and some meeting rooms. They need the field. I mean, indoor, I would say. They need a hospital right there for all the tests. They need substantial hotels. I mean,
that are connected.
Right. And I mean, there's a million things that go into it, and there's not a lot of cities that have an infrastructure like that that's walkable with all those things. And they've been doing it for how long?
Right. I mean, and they need St. Elmo's. What are you going to do? Bring St. Elmo's to LA?
What if they don't have spicy shrimp cocktail at these cities? We can't have that.
Exactly. And like it's all connected. All the walkways, the hotels.
The tunnels that make you feel like a little hamster.
Yes. The convention center, the whole thing, it just works. And it's in the middle of the country. So like no matter where you are, it's a 2-hour flight, no matter where you are.
I think it's great. And and when you ask any football people, they're like, absolutely not. We do not want to leave. We do not want to go. But then if you ask anyone like on the business side, like their eyes light up and they're like, oh, money. We could do this here. We could do this here. We could blow it up even more. Like the combine is blown up. We've blown it up. Okay. Yep.
For sure. We moved it to prime time even.
Yes. I mean, it's absolutely wild. But they're trying to make it a Super Bowl, and it's just, we already have a Super Bowl. And if it's not broke.
Right.
Those are the best times. We've had some good times there.
Oh man, we definitely did. And it's been a minute since I've been there. When's the last time you worked one?
So I didn't go not this past season, the year before was my last one.
Okay. There's a lot of work that gets done there, obviously, but it's just the camaraderie and like the brother and sisterhood of your other NFL people.
And that's exactly what you were saying, how you don't always see these people that you were basically family with, because you see them more than your own family. Yeah. And then you don't get to see it. And then the one place you get to see everyone is usually combine.
Yep. And like, I feel like the Super Bowl is not that, because the Super Bowl is a little more like who's who kind of like you don't, if you're just random guy or gal from the Vikings staff, you're not probably at the Super Bowl. But we're all combine.
Right. And like a lot of, if you're not, and I feel like on the coaching and scouting side, even if they weren't even in the playoffs, they're still pissed. They don't want to be at a Super Bowl unless they're playing in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So it's that too. So they're not going. I feel like those people don't go unless they're playing in it.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
To be honest with you, even like obviously we work the Super Bowl, like media is crazy time, but it's almost too busy for us. I barely get to see any. I only want to see like 5 people there, and I probably only see 3.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yep. Yep. So that's a change I hope doesn't happen. I hope they keep that in Indy.
oh,
So anyway, um, okay. So Eagles, Vikings, they play Saturday. Will you go?
no, I'm not going.
Okay. I obviously I won't be there either. I don't expect to see like any starters.
So no, that's what we're hearing on the streets. No
Okay.
starters again. We're not going to be seeing. It sounds like we won't be seeing Kellen Moore's new offense until Brazil.
I like Kellen Moore.
Oh, I mean, and you know what? So I feel like he's pretty liked across the board, except for Dallas.
Yeah,
No?
what a surprise, right? I mean, they're, hey, oh, and by the way, Zim is in Dallas. Did you know that? He's the D
Wait, he
coordinator in
is?
Dallas. Yes, he's there. So
Oh,
I
I
went
didn't
down
know
and saw
that.
him this spring. But yeah, Dallas, they um they're just different down there, right?
I
So
mean, yeah, but Kellen, I think Philly is. I know we're known for being hard on our own people, hard fans, whatever. But the general consensus is Kellen has a lot of pressure on him to get the best out of Jalen, and so his job is on the line. It seems like they're way more cohesive, working with one another, as opposed to a Jalen and a Nick Sirianni situation. I'm sure
mhm,
you heard that till you were blue in the face. We
I
all did
did.
here.
Yeah.
Can you tell him over it?
Yeah, I totally can tell.
But so we're excited to see his offense. I think that if and I this again general consensus, I might be overhyping it a little just because I do get excited. Um, if Kellen Moore is who we think he is, and is gelling with Jalen as much as we think he is as well, because we've heard amazing things out of camp.
Mhm.
Like this offense with the weapons that have been put in place, it can easily be a top 5 offense in this league. Is what we're all hoping and praying and
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. And to me, so how about the center? Are we good with whoever the center is going to be?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Cam, he's I think he was drafted 2 years ago but it was like this. I love how his mind works, because it just is so much foresight. Like knowing Jason Kelsey was going to be out of there, so like
Yeah.
he's had 2 seasons now. That was the succession plan, and
Okay.
I think that it's barely even been talked about here, which is
That's
crazy,
good.
right?
That's
So
good.
I
Yeah.
mean, so no news is good news there. We had a little bit of a question over who, if it was going to be Steen or Mekhi Becton on the line there, but it looks like Mekhi won the starting job. And honestly, the offensive line, there's been a lot of talks about it, but it seems everyone's was worried about the depth. But then when it comes down to it, now it's in place, and all the backups have all been starters before. So it's
Oh,
like
wow.
you can plug and play that in case of injuries, like things like that. So again, I don't think that that's anything to worry about.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
good. I can't wait to see the first tush push to see if it works.
Yes, they had they've tried a couple in camp,
Okay.
I've heard,
All right.
but I know we need to see that live and in action. Can't
That's
wait.
got to work. If it doesn't work, it's not the same. It's got to work,
If
I
it
mean,
doesn't work, we're probably going to cancel it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of it not working. That's another change in the NFL I'm afraid of. The tush
No, we
push
can't
in
have that.
Philly
We
not
can't have
working.
that.
Okay.
Don't put that out there. But I
Um,
just feel I hate to even ask, but because I feel like it's kind of opposite right now. But what's the general vibe in Minnesota with your guys' offense now that you
yeah.
got the blow?
So I think that there is that classic Vikings fans like always next year optimism about Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Where people have looked at Sam Darnold's path and they've been like, the Jets was a you know what show. Carolina's been bad for a lot of years in a row. Like those don't like almost like that doesn't count. No one would win in those situations. So
Nice way.
they're saying we really don't know about Darnold yet. And this is the best situation he's ever been in with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Kevin O'Connell. They're like, this is a great situation for Sam Darnold. He went to USC. He was a first round pick. He's obviously got talent. So Vikings fans are building it up that way. And that's understandable. I respect that.
100%. Wait, our fan bases are so opposite. It's
I
hilarious.
know. You're
I
right.
love
They
it
are.
though.
Yep.
I love it.
Yes, they are very opposite in that way. So there's like a hopeful glee
Okay.
about the offense and what it can be. And then there's the no one believes in us. We're gonna surprise people. And so I think when you have an unproven, unknown commodity, and no one believes in you, it's easy to get behind that. If you have a proven
Absolutely.
unknown commodity and everyone expects you to be good, then as a fan, you're like, oh, I don't know if we can do it. Like everyone expects us to be good, but I don't know. So I think it's a great
Yeah,
combination
that's
there.
like, all right, okay, psychology professor.
Yeah, that's me psychoanalyzing people. Anyway, so that's like the vibe. Um, People love Aaron Jones coming from Green Bay to
Uh-huh.
Minnesota.
Yeah, they have
Like
to.
Alexander Madison, I mean, now who's with the Raiders? He had 0 touchdowns last year, which
Zero?
is crazy from your starting running back. So like people are pumped about that. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, people love that.
Mhm.
Um,
Did you
we have
watch Receiver?
yeah, those are so good. Those aren't they?
So good. Did you think that Justin Jefferson was portrayed like in the right way? Is that who he is?
Well, what did you think the portrayal was? Like super positive, super
Yes, I just thought super positive, just happy to be playing, happy to be
yeah.
there, like living
I
his best life.
So I think that's accurate. Everyone that I'm connected with at the Vikings,
Uh-huh.
like they all are. It's 10 out of 10 on Jefferson, on the
That's what I was
guy.
he just seems so
Yeah,
great.
it's 10
Yeah.
out of 10 on him. And the same people who I'm referencing, they
Right.
would tell me, that guy's, no, that guy's can't wait for him to be out of here,
Yeah,
right? I
we
mean,
probably some colorful language. Yeah.
yes, that's right. So yeah, 10 out of 10 positive on Justin Jefferson,
Okay.
from the people we all know there. And one of the things I was really cool because he signed a deal, I think, right before camp. So one of the
Mhm.
first media availabilities that Jefferson had in camp, someone asked him about where he lives because he lives in like a 2-bedroom townhouse or something.
Right. Right.
And he's like, I don't know. I think I can't remember the exact quote, but he's like, the crib is good with me. Like, I don't need much more. It's just me living there. And I'm like,
It was
that is so
yeah.
cool.
I saw that too because at like in comparison to about the other receivers on the show,
Yeah.
they're living in McMansions, but they're
Yeah.
also most of them are a little older. But he was like, I just need my room and my video games.
Yes. Yes. It's cool. So, so everyone's really positive on him and the offense, and Kevin O'Connell people are positive on him. So the vibe is good. And then defensively, there's just been a lot of change and additions. And so people get positive about that.
Okay, about the changing and the possibility of a new vibe.
Yes, they love that. So look, I mean, we talked about it earlier. They're in a tough division. I mean,
No.
Detroit is still good. Detroit won the division by 3 games last year. I mean, that is not close, right?
Wow.
So, and I think they're as good or better than they were last year. Green Bay, I hate to say it, but
They're
looks like
good.
Jordan Love's going to be good
I
again.
know.
So 3 in a row: Favre, Rodgers,
Mhm.
maybe Love.
Mhm.
And then Chicago is a wait and see, don't you think? I mean, Caleb
I think they
Williams.
have more upside than not.
Me too. I do too.
It looks
Yeah.
like they really are getting it together.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I it's a tough division, and so I don't count the Vikings out this year,
No, of
but
course not. Mhm.
I think that people are going to predict them to finish 4th. I think that's
Mhm.
the most likely outcome, although I hope for them it's not, but I think that's the
Mhm.
most likely. And so I think they take their medicine this year, they use it as a motivation in the offseason next year, and they view 25 as their year with JJ McCarthy. That's, I think, what I just went through with you, I
Mhm.
think is 7 out of 10 Vikings fans would see it that way.
7 out of 10 would agree with Wobby.
Yes, that's what I think. So, and
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I hope
Mhm.
I'm wrong and they go 11-6 and they're a wild card team. That'd be awesome.
Remember
That'd
when
be
we
more
were
fun.
there and we were 3-13?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
Good time.
That was
That wasn't scary in those
that was
buildings then at
less.
all.
Oh man, those years are tough, man. Those are
Oh
But
God.
that is why when you are the opposite, like you just are all about it. And you
Oh yeah.
pour everything you have in when you've got a season cooking and you're 7-1 or 8-2. I mean, you got to pour because you are one off season away from that 3-13.
It's always around the corner.
Yeah.
It's lurking. It's like evil little head, and you can't get away from it. Yeah.
3-13 was tough, and it happened to our guy Leslie, who everyone loved. And I really want Leslie to get another shot to be a head coach.
I think he would if he wants it. I think he'd have it.
He deserves it. We've seen other guys get second chances. Look at Dan Quinn. He's getting another chance with
No,
Washington.
I completely agree. And he's just so unproblematic too. So there's no negatives to that, in my opinion. I don't think if he wanted to do it, I think he would absolutely have another chance.
Yeah. So I hope so too. And speaking of guys who should get another chance, how about Brian Flores? He's another guy who should get a chance to be a head coach.
Okay, wait. So I've been dying to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
The Tua comments.
Yes.
When I realized I was talking to you on the Vikings pod, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about really how the Vikings fan base or the Vikings team would be influenced, or how they feel about this. Okay, so obviously Tua came out and said that when his head coach, Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins, was a horrible person, beat him down every day, basically made him repeatedly said enough that he was bad and not the right guy for the job, that he started to believe that. Okay. And he said that on, was it radio? I think
it was on radio. Yep.
So then I wasn't even expecting Brian Flores to respond. And if he did, I thought he would say, you know what, I'm going to have a private conversation with him. I'm sorry he feels that way, but that's between he and I, whatever. Yeah. Boy, was I wrong, because he got up there at the Vikings facility doing a long presser, stood up there like a man, really, and said those comments were hard to see, but I had to take that in. He basically apologized if that's what he made him feel like, and said that he did some thinking and realized that not everyone can be coached that way, and I need to improve on how I speak, how I coach, because it's not one size fits all for everyone. Yeah. And my jaw was on the floor, because he took accountability, clearly thought about it, and said, hey, you know what? Maybe he has a point. Yeah. It was a very blunt way for Tua to say stuff, but I couldn't be more impressed with how Brian Flores handled it. And it seemed very authentic. So I was just so impressed, and I couldn't wait to talk to you about how the Vikings community felt about it.
Yeah. I think I don't have a good pulse on how the Vikings community feels about it. And I don't think they feel strongly about it, because I don't think they even we're plugged in and we're watching everything that happens. So we knew that there was conflict and weirdness with Tua and Flores, because we watched it happen in Miami. But I don't think a lot of fans are paying that much attention. I don't think Chargers fans know that there was a big conflict in Miami with Tua and Flores until now.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So I don't think Vikings fans feel strongly about that. I think they like Flores because he's so charismatic, and he's a good-looking guy. He's charismatic. He's got swagger. He's positive, and he's generating improvement. So Vikings fans love Flores. And so I think the biggest thing is, I couldn't believe Tua was that honest. We see so often the politically correct comments, and you can just tell that someone wants to say something and be honest, but they don't do it. Yeah. And Tua he just let it go. I couldn't believe that.
He really just let it go. So I was less, and I told you this before, I was less surprised by that, just because I think now that just with social media and the TikToks, people are really speaking their mind about things and feeling less ashamed to, maybe less worried about the repercussions if something really did affect them. So I kind of was like, okay, if that was your experience and you're bringing facts with that, I respect that he said that. I don't think that especially if you're feeling some type of way, if a person in position of power is making you feel that type of way and you're doubting yourself, and it affected you, okay, talk about it.
I think that's a good message. That's a good way to look at it. There's, he didn't
have to be that blunt. He was super, super blunt. But also if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. But so as shocked as you were that he said something, I was even more shocked at how Brian Flores handled it. Yeah. In a good way.
Yep. So I think, you asked about Vikings fans. I think they heard the way Flores responded to it and loved it. That's, Minnesotans are, passive aggressive maybe, but Minnesotans are, and Midwesterners are are kind and they appreciate humility
Yep.
and they're not brash. It's not Philadelphia and New York. And it's not a better way to be. It's just a different way to be. And so I think when you are this way, you appreciate the way Flores handled it.
You know what's interesting, actually, now that I'm thinking about it with you? It sounds to me like the Minnesotans and the Vikings are getting a different version of Brian Flores. They're getting
Definitely.
the version of Brian Flores that has already taken that constructive criticism, maybe reevaluated himself as a head coach, and it took a beat and showed up as a different person there.
Yeah, probably right. And
if I were and all I'm doing is comparing the things I would hear in Miami to the things that you're saying in Minnesota. That's so. I don't know. I like the way both of them handled it.
Yep. Yeah. I like the way
you're like, no, Tua did too much.
Well, honestly, Leigh, that was my initial response. Is I'm like, geez, like I can't believe he would say that about another person in the league, and then B, I was kind of like old school, like off, But like listening to you describe it, I appreciate it a little more. The honesty and just being transparent and authentic. I guess that is a good trait. So
yeah, there's a fine line. You are right though. There is a fine line between transparent, authentic, and like having the audacity.
So here's the other thing too, and I don't want to get off into a tangent on this.
Yeah.
Because I want to move on to a different topic with you that I'm excited to bring up. But it does remind me of Zimmer and Cousins a little bit. Because like I think Tua is really good. And I think Flores is really good. They're obviously not good together.
Correct.
And I think Kirk Cousins is really good. And Zimmer is really good, but I don't think they're very good together.
Right. And hey, it can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like that can be like, that's not everyone gets along. Not everyone works well together. It can literally be like, you can be a good guy. You can be a guy. You can be good at your job. You can be good at your job.
Yeah. It's like pineapple on pizza. I mean, I like both, but I'm not putting pineapple on my pizza.
Wait, I feel like a lot of Minnesotans do. I was shocked by that when I was there.
Too many people like pineapple on pizza. You might like it.
No, I don't. I just thought in Minnesota, I felt like people really were all about that.
One of our kids loves pineapple on his pizza, the 16-year-old. I'm like, dude, that's just it doesn't go. So he loves ordering it right in front of me.
That's why.
That's good for him.
And I'm sure he offers you a slice too.
Yeah. And I'm not one to turn down pizza, as you know. You've had pizza with Hagen and the whole thing. We're not turning pizza down around here.
That's so funny. The other day I was talking about what Jeremy Fowler wrote he wrote one of the big features about Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' bad relationship.
Oh yeah, yes. I saw
whatever.
That.
And so I was talking about that and I was like, oh my gosh, Jeremy Fowler. I used to like order his pizza when he was a beat writer and I was
on Wednesdays.
Like, excuse me, Mr. Fowler, what kind of pizza would you like?
Oh my gosh. Yes, pizza. Wasn't it Wednesdays?
Pizza Wednesdays. It all starts in
media
Minnesota.
Center.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, so this is the surprise I was going to bring up with you, and this will be the last thing, and then we'll go. Otherwise, we're going to do a 17-hour long podcast. I heard you in one of the clips you put on TikTok on Bleav in Eagles talking about the lack of Eagles swag and gear.
Yes.
For gals or just in general. What are you? I have a solution, but I want to know what you're thinking and what you're going to do about that.
Wally, I'm so glad you asked me because this is on my mind. This is heavily on my mind because we are approaching week 1 and I don't have one outfit planned yet. Not one. Am I going to games yet? I don't even know. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to, but I need an outfit regardless. So I honestly, like, I'm still in the brainstorm. I got a lot of good comments. They like, what was it? Aaron Andrews' line is always a good
Wear
one.
by EA. Yeah,
Wear by EA. One. Carl Banks' line, he has a couple. Sick. But I don't know. I'm not good. I don't know the Philly scene yet in terms of game day fashion.
Okay. So in Minnesota.
Do you have a thought?
I have a thought on this. I'm not like, you're the fashion person, not me. I get it. But I'm coming out of right field with an idea here.
Wait, this is the best thing ever. Okay, tell me.
Okay. There's a company that I'm going to call a Minnesota-based company, and the brand is Unreal. Have you heard of the brand Unreal?
Wait, yeah,
UNRL.
I have.
Okay. I have an Unreal sweatshirt on right now. Okay.
Let me see this. Ooh.
Okay. So this is the brand.
Okay, so cute.
It's UNRL. Okay. And so they have like the joggers that everyone likes to wear, which I have 4 pairs of, I think 3 or 4 pairs.
Aren't those great go-tos?
Oh, love them. They're great on the golf course. They're great working from home. They're great going out. They're awesome. They've got a whole bunch of stuff. So go to the website. UNRL is the company.
Wait, this is so great because I know I have seen UNRL before. And I was like, wait, I like that font. I like that. Okay, this is so good.
They're getting bigger. They're outfitting golfers. Our guy, Adam Thielen, who plays a lot of golf and plays in the Tahoe Celebrity Classic, was completely UNRL. Yeah. So they don't work with every team yet. They work with a lot of the teams here locally. I asked one of my friends about this. What are the teams so far that they're working with? Chiefs, Panthers, Vikings, Bills, Packers, Steelers. Okay, so they're getting into the space, and Eagles are not on that list, and they could be, I think. So
I think they need to be. Wobby, this is breaking news.
Okay, so I don't know where you've got inroads with the Eagles and design and apparel and marketing, but I would guess you have more than 0. So this is something we can work on. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm obsessed with this idea, Wobby.
Yeah.
And my phone just died, but if it didn't, I would already be on the website.
Okay. All right. Well, charge your phone.
Wait, also,
and
this
get on
is
there.
like you just blew my mind. You're just so multifaceted. You can do it all.
I don't think that's true, but a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. You know, so.
Wait, Wobby, I love this. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
So that's my idea for you. So we'll follow up on it. The founder is Michael Jordan, obviously not the Michael Jordan, but that's the founder of the company's name. And then I've got a couple of friends who work in the company, so we can line it up and we can get the Eagles onto this list.
Gosh, I'm obsessed with this. I love this so much. You're the plug. You are the plug.
And I don't know that it's like they've got a specific like feel for women's I'm not saying that it's not good for women. Like my wife wears a lot of UNRL and it looks good on her.
Right.
So,
well, obviously, have you seen her? Of course it would look good on her.
Exactly. Thank you. But I think there's room for that, like a little more persuasion there.
So you're saying that I should do a capsule with them?
Yeah. That whatever a capsule is, yes, you should do that. See now you're getting out of my orbit a little bit there. Whatever a capsule is, yes, you should do.
I love that, Wob. Wow, right. Bringing fashion to the table.
Okay.
From Minnesota.
The more you can do to help. I'm
upset. Thank you. That was so thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll follow up on this. We'll have a conversation as they say in the corporate world. We'll have a conversation offline about this. But
and we'll circle back and all those things.
Right. We'll circle back. We'll add this to our plate. Yeah, exactly.
Slack me.
Okay. All right.
Wait, this is so fun. No one's gonna watch this whole thing. It was so long.
They might not. If they did, if you're still watching and listening, whoever, we'll send them a UNRL sweatshirt. If you're still here,
and I'll just send them a Bleav hat.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous of those. By the way, I can't even.
I'll get you one.
Will you? I would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
It all comes back to fashion here.
Yeah, exactly. We tie it all together. It's a complete show. All right. I'm going to the state fair today.
The Minnesota State Fair. Okay. What are you going to eat?
Pizza, because I'm working at a pizza. I'm slinging pizzas for a friend. So I'm going to definitely do that. My wife and I are doing that.
I'm sorry. Just recap. You're slinging pizzas.
Yes.
At the fair?
Yes.
Do you always do this?
No. First year we've done it.
Have you ever made a pizza?
Like on English muffin pizzas with the kids. Yes.
Oh my God, this is wild. Do you have an outfit?
You have an outfit. It's a t-shirt, Leigh. I don't have an outfit. Okay. I have shirts and pants that I wear together.
I'm thinking, okay, you're acting like that was the outlandish thing to say. You just said you were slinging pizzas at a state fair.
I know it's weird. But listen,
Wait,
so
that's so fun. Okay, have the best time. Please have some funnel
Yes.
cake. That's what I think of.
Okay, we'll do funnel cake. I got to do like a corn dog or pronto pup for sure. Pork chop on a stick.
Wait,
Yeah,
what about a Juicy Lucy?
I mean, that's at the state fair, Lee, but that's a Minnesota food, but it's not like a state fair food. It's not. Yeah.
Right church, wrong pew.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know that. That is that like a Catholic thing? Because I definitely know that.
Unsure. I think it's just religious, right?
Well, definitely that.
Any religion that has a church.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right church, wrong pew is a good one. Yeah. So I guess you could do if you put a Juicy Lucy on a stick, then it would be state fair food.
Okay, so that's what it basically comes down to. You want your state fair foods to be on a stick.
Or deep fat fried.
Oh, like the funnel cake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or or like generally not a thing you eat during the rest of the year. That's what really
specialty.
Makes it.
A specialty.
Yeah. So like they have deep fat fried candy bars. Like you shouldn't eat that ever, right? But I mean, if you're at the state fair, you make an exception for it.
Are there rides?
Yeah, there are rides and carny games. Yep, for sure.
Carny games?
Yeah, carnival games. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I think I lived there, 2.5, almost 3 years?
Yeah.
Never made it to a state fair.
I can't believe that.
Never made it to a state fair?
Because it was always a big thing for like the PR staff would take, like, we got to get Ponder and Rudolph out to the state fair.
Did I not? Was I left off the group chat?
Are you sure you didn't? Are you sure you weren't
no,
there?
But you remember what was that place called that that Tom took me to? That it was like a Walmart, but for like hunting.
Fleet Farm?
Fleet Farm.
Was it Fleet Farm?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. He took me to a Fleet Farm and he took me to a place where you stuff animals.
Oh, Build-A-Bear?
No, real ones.
Oh, geez. Oh, a taxidermy?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was my Minnesota experience.
Yeah. Good memory. But no, so Fleet Farm I think you went to, but are you thinking of Cabela's?
What is Cabela's?
That's like the big, like huge hunting store too.
No,
it was definitely Fleet Farm.
It was 100% Fleet Farm, and he got me a shirt.
The same. Okay. Do you still have it? No way you have it still.
No, I've moved too many times. I don't even have.
Yeah. They say if it's not at Fleet Farm, you don't need it. That's like the saying about Fleet Farm. That's a very Tom West saying.
I hope everyone that goes to Minnesota not only gets a Minnesota State Fair Day under their belts, but gets a Fleet Farm experience with a local as your guide.
Yeah. Yeah. And go with Tom West.
The only guide is Tom West.
All right. Let's get out of here.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Wobby. This was awesome.
It was a lot of fun, Lee. Let's do it again. I know there's no Vikings-Eagles regular season game, but we can find a time to collaborate again during the season. We should check in maybe mid-season with each other and see how 100%.
And we have to talk about the capsule. There's a lot to discuss.
Right. Yeah. Yes, we do have a lot to discuss. All right. Thank you, Lee.
Have fun at the fair.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everyone. That's it for today's episode of Bleav in Vikings and Bleav in Eagles. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Lee's podcast, Bleav in Eagles, and mine, Bleav in Vikings. We are where all the other podcasts can be found. All the major podcasting platforms. Go there, subscribe. Once you do that, we'll see you next time. Until next time, everybody, keep believing.